Hello everyone, my name is Sharmin Jahan from EducatirSharmin YouTube channel. So this is a requested video, Oxford Reading Circle Book 3, Chapter 9, Three Languages. So before start my class, first you need to understand the word meaning. So first you underline the difficult word and I will read the story, you listen and you read the story. Then in my description box I will give you question answer, you check it. Alright, so let's get started. A count lived in a cold mountainous country with his son and his wife. There were many happy people in the country who smiled as they worked and played, but the count was not a happy man. Others who saw the count's fine house would say, "There's a fine house of a fortunate man." But the count could only see the cracks, the crooked edges, and the cost of running the house. When people saw the count's young son toddling after his father, they admired his sweet face and smiled at his quick pace. When they spoke to the son, they said, "Oh, what a bright fellow you are!" But the count could not see this. He said to his wife, "The boy is so slow," he complained to the tutors. "Why isn't he learning more? Why doesn't he know anything?" The tutors were afraid to say much in response because the count was a frightening man. Over time, the count became fixed on the idea that his son could learn nothing. He made him stay in his room with heavy books full of writings of the greatest philosophers and mathematicians who have ever lived. The count was irritated when the son only played with the books. Irritated means bothered or annoyed. Some years later, the count decided to send his son away to learn from a great master in the south. After a year, the son returned. The count called him to his study to ask him, "Well, have you learned anything?" The young man replied, "Yes, father, I have learned a lot." "Well, tell me," said his father, "what are you three things that you are most pleased to have learned?" The son smiled and said, "First, I can understand what dogs say when they bark." At this the count raised his eyebrows, but he could not think of anything to say because he was so surprised. His son continued, "Second, I know what birds are saying when they sing." The son closed his eyes to think and did not notice that his father's face had twisted into a terrible frown. Third smiled the son, "I can understand frogs." He looked up at his father and smiled again. "What?" roared the count. His voice was so loud that the pans in the kitchen rattled. "I sent you away to great master and you come back with a head full of nonsense instead of knowledge. Get out, get out." Alright, so now you tell me the question, that is, what three things did the son learn when he was sent to the great master? Pause the video, try to find out. Alright, so answer will be the three things the son learned from the great master was he could understand the dogs when it barked, and he could understand what birds were saying when they sing, and he could understand the frogs when it croaked. The son slowly walked out of the room and closed the door quietly behind him. That night the count decided that he wished to never see his son again. He ordered his guards, "Take him to the forest and kill him. Leave immediately. Bring me back some evidence that you have done as I command." Evidence, that means that is the proof to confirm something. The guards went to the son's room to get him and were surprised to see him ready to leave. As they walked to the forest, the son talked to them and told them all about the things they passed. When they came to a clearing deep in the forest, the men looked uncomfortable. They did not want to kill the charming young man. "Just run away and never return," said the chief guard. "I will not have innocent blood on my hands." The son smiled, thanked them, and walked off into the forest. The chief guard paid a visit to the butchers on the way back, and the count believed that evidence he saw was real. Question number 2. What does the count order the guards to do to his son? Pause the video, try to find out. If not, so I'm here. So answer will be the count ordered his guards to take his son to the forest and kill him and to bring some evidence. So now you tell me, why do you think the guard did not follow the count orders? What do you think? Answer: I think the guard did not follow the count's order because they did not want to kill the charming young man. They did not want innocent blood in their hands. Well, now we continue the story again. For a few years, the son traveled and he had many adventures. Once, as a huge storm was beginning, he arrived in a village, but there was nowhere he could stay. He asked at all of the houses, but many people would not open their doors and no one had any room. At the last house in the town, a man spoke kindly to him. "Stranger, you need a place to hide from the gale. It's going to be a rough night. Find shelter fast." "Do you know of anywhere I can stay tonight?" asked the son. "We have no room. There is a tower on the hill, but the wild dogs around it will eat you if they catch you. Try the next house." The man shut the door quickly to keep out the wind and the rain. The son walked up the hill to the tower. The next morning, as the townspeople were working together to clear up the damage from the storm, they they wondered what had happened to the stranger. Just then the son walked into town. Everyone stopped work and stared. "Those dogs were guarding a treasure that is rightfully yours. They told me how to get it." The villagers crowded round in amazement. They were amazed that he was alive, and they were amazed at what he had to say. After a while, a team of villagers, led by the son, went up towards the tower. When they returned, they were carrying boxes of gold and cheering loudly. The villagers shared the gold with the son and invited him to stay. But he had not finished his journey, so after a few days of rest, he set off again. By now the son was a man. He wanted to settle in one place. He decided to travel to an ancient city ruled by a wise leader and try to find work there. He walked for a long time by a river that led to the city. The frogs on the river banks croaked loudly, and son listened to them carefully. They were spreading the news that the wise leader of the ancient city had died and there was no one to replace him. Now you tell me, question number 4, what does the son find out from the dogs around the tower? The son found out from the dogs around the tower is that these dogs were guarding the treasure that was rightfully of the townspeople. Alright, now we're back again. The reading. The frog's song grew louder and louder as the sun drew closer to the city. They were singing that the new leader was coming. As the sun approached the city, he could see huge crowds waiting to the gate and on the city walls. At the entrance to the great city, two doves flew down and whispered in the sun's ears, "You shall be the father of these people and their lands." The sun was not sure that he could not these, but he walked in through the city gate. As he stepped through the gate, the frogs stopped croaking, the crowd stopped talking, and there was silence. So now you tell me another question. What does the sun find out from the frog? The sun found out from the frogs that the wise leader of ancient city had died, and they were spreading that new leader was coming. All right, now we're back again. The reading, continue reading. Slowly, a whisper began to run through the crowd. "It's him. He is the one. This must be the sign. He must be the one." A palace official stepped forward and said, "The signs are clear. You are our next leader. Come forward and claim your title by saying our sacred hours." The sun smiled and crowds cheered. The two doves whispered the words in his ears, and the sun spoke them clearly. From that day on, the sun was a wise leader to all his people and their lands. What does the sun find out from the frog? Pause the video, try to figure out. The sun found out from the frogs that the wise leader of ancient city had died, and they were spreading that new leader was coming. What did the doves to do help the sun? The two doves helped the sun by whispering the words in his ears, and the sun spoke them clearly. Alright, so that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and see you soon with another new video.